is being recorded. This meeting is being recorded.
Whoa, is that a new voice? An upgrade? I have not heard that before. Start video. Yeah, what is going on? All right. Okay, does everything look normal on Zoom? Okay, because this was asking a few things. So, excellent. How's everyone doing? Hi. How is everyone? So good. So good? Yes. Awesome. What's so good these days? What's going on? Nick and Harrison in the house. They waited for their entrance. They were standing out there just waiting. Anything going on? What's positive right now? One or two things. We need to know some positive feedback. What's going on? Can be work related. Can just be something going on in your life that you're excited about. We have listings. Excellent. What was that? I heard something else. Yeah, for listings. Yep. That's a positive thing. What else? Did I hear something?
I have one.
Yes.
I have my first real closing tomorrow.
Woo! That's awesome.
I'm in St. George to do it.
And what to do it? Say that again.
I'm in St. George to do it with them in person.
Oh, that's awesome. You're getting a lot of love from us in here. If you can't hear it, there's a lot of love from the room in here. Congrats. That's awesome, Daylise.
Thank you.
Anything else? Christine in the house. Yep. Awesome. We're just going to celebrate everyone. Okay, so we've got a couple things going on. Let me push present and Zoom. I'm not sure if I'm sharing screen. That way you guys can see it better. Okay, you guys let me know if that looks okay. Awesome. Okay, so we want to make sure that we've got plenty of time for Terry. And let's see, is Brock in the house? We've got TJ. TJ is in the house. Tell us what we need to know about mortgages.
For sure.
Especially with what's going on these days.
So first of all, we're doing our quarterly mastermind next week. It's going to be Wednesday, June 1st. And we're just going to be like discussing, choosing success in a shifting market. We're seeing, just a different market right now, 5,000 listings on the MLS. And topics that we're going to be discussing around the roundtable is becoming an advisor / consultant, creating your own inventory, and are you the celebrity of your SOI? So it should be pretty good. We've got a bunch planned. We'll have refreshments there. And then market-wise, we're seeing markets start to shift a little bit. In technical terms, we're up this morning we were up by like 30 to 40 basis points, which is really good. So if we continue to see this trend, we could see rates start to shift in our favor for the time being. So
what does that mean? What numbers is that equate to?
It's correlating with the mortgage-backed securities. So the purchasing of mortgage-backed securities is up right now, which is really, we're above the 25-day moving average, and that's kind of been on a downward trend for the past, probably 6 months. So the fact that we broke above that.
So interest rates going up or down?
Up, interest rates going down.
Awesome.
For the time being, for a little bit.
Make it as simple as possible.
Yep, there you go.
Yep. Interest rates going down for
no crystal ball, of course.
Yeah.
But at least we could start to see level it off a little bit.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. I think
rates, we're still seeing rates, it depends on its case by case scenario, but we're still seeing rates in the 5s. Yep. Cool. Any other questions? Market related or anything? Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks, DJ. What that could mean is, anytime that we see a shock in the market, and that's what we've seen the last few months, is we've kind of got a shock in the market. If you with looking at interest rates, everything has jumped up so quickly, and I think if people are seeing that they're starting to level off and possibly dip down, then they might be a little bit more. I think if we're all realizing that buyers are saying, hey, I just want to see what's going to happen with interest rates before I do anything. How many of us are dealing with the wait and hold type people right now? Because they're just like, I just don't know. And I'm scared. And there's always the fear of the unknown. So if we're starting to see a little bit of maybe leveling off and get some media in there, like, hey, we're not increasing ton, because that's what a lot of people are seeing, then I think some of that shock factor might go away a little bit, and people just kind of settle down into a little bit more of a new normal and not be all freaked out.
There's a lot of opportunities too right now. Like I'm seeing the borrowers that were on the fence. In past months, they were discouraged. Now they're trying, and they can submit offers that maybe weren't as competitive the last couple months. Now they're getting accepted, where earnest money isn't hard upon acceptance, or so on and so forth.
That's right.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah, which is a big relief for a lot of our buyers. I'm still seeing, I don't know if you guys are still seeing multiple offers, depending on the price point. Would you guys agree? Still seeing multiple offers in somewhat of the lower price point, but the higher price point is slowing down a little bit more than the lower. I think just about anything under 500 is still flying. So yeah, keep that in mind, and yeah, that way we can educate our clients and know what's going on. So the collective voice here is helpful to make sure that other people know that we're in the market every day. Whether you have bought or sold a home in the last week to 2 weeks to a month or whatever, that way collectively we know what's going on, and you have that experience to share with your clients. Awesome. Coming up, so this is, if you want to zip over, this is today over in the Salt Lake office. They've got several powerhouses right here. Got Lee Stern, Linda Birch, and Tamara Reaper. They're talking about the compression on commission and kind of how to handle it, scripts around it, what you can say. These are excellent people who great to learn from. So if you want to zip over there right after this, there's time to get over there before it starts. We've got technology series, automate your follow-up. This is taught by Kimber Tuesday, today at 1 o'clock. So I guess you would have to kind of pick and choose what that one, or yeah, drive fast. Mix and mingle tomorrow, 3 to 4 o'clock upstairs. Come and enjoy each other's company. We just want to be able to get to know each other a little bit more and bribe you with popcorn or something. We always doing something a little bit different. So come and enjoy each other there. This is orientation coming up on the 26th from 10 to 11 a.m. And softball. Who knows about softball so far? Raise your hand if you have heard anything about it so far. Okay. Who is interested and who is going to participate? Yes, that's awesome. I feel like I saw more hands say they're participating than even knew about it. So that was weird. Just shy on the first hand raise. But if you don't know anything about it, this is fun. We've done a couple of these in the past before COVID hit, and it's fun just to get to know each other. And you do not have to be good at softball. In fact, come and you will be in good company. We're going to have friendly competition, but do not feel like you've got to be a major league player to come and hit and swing the softball bat. So this is starting in, the dates are July 11th through July 27th. It's Mondays and Wednesdays from 1 to 3:30 p.m. So what we're going to do is we've got 4 captains. It's going to be a random draft, and you will be put onto, all those that are interested, you'll be put on one of the 4 teams, and it will just be a blast. You'll play likely once a week, and that way you're not playing like ice. It's just enough time for those 2 days a week so that you can have one of your games on one of those days, and then you'll play the next week as well. So it'll be kind of a fun tournament play in our office. And then once we're done with that, we will play the other offices, those that have been a part of this as well, and be able to just see who comes out on top type thing. It'll be a lot of fun. So if you, so now if you didn't know about it, you know about it. And if you want to be a part of it, did I miss something? There is, oh, it is right in my face. Thank you. Sign up sheet. Who has already been on this or has already signed up? Raise your, put your hand down. Who needs the sign up sheet that is interested? Okay, right here. Raise your hand real high. Yes. Yes. Okay. I've seen Becky play. She's got a mean swing. Yep. So go ahead and once you're done with your sign up, maybe just raise it up, and then if that way you guys can see that board, and then you can pass it around who needs it. But we want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to participate and be involved. And if you don't want to be on the team, then grab your pom-poms and come and cheer. It'll be a lot of fun. We're just going to make it fun. We want to make it fun for everyone. Okay. Any questions on this? Did I cover everything, Sammy? Huge shout out to Sammy and Barry. Barry's not in here, but huge shout out to them for putting this all together and organizing it so that we can enjoy this. So, yep. Thank you. Any questions? Excellent. Splash Summit Water Park. This is our summer event that we have reserved the park so that you guys can invite all of your clients, make it fun for your SOI and your database. This is June 23rd, and it is from 5 to 9 p.m. So we do need to know where's our deadline and everything for that to make sure that we have. So June 16th. We need to know, we need a head count, and we need is to be able to it'll be $5 a person, right? $5 a person for your clients. Incredibly cheap. If you were to go and just, I think it's like 16 to 20 bucks just to get in without all of this. So the office, we are subsidizing a huge portion of that. So to make it less expensive for you guys to be able to invite all your clients. So yes, that's a plug for the office. We've got your back. We want to make it fun for you guys, but take advantage of that. It's an excuse to get in touch with your clients, your database, and I can guarantee you, if you use this correctly, you're going to find at least one deal that will come out of this. Awesome. Excited to invite Terry up here. Terry is one of the best coaches, and she is just a wealth of knowledge. So I'm excited that we've had the opportunity to have her teach and share with us. So let's give her a warm welcome. You want this one or handheld?
We have to do microphones.
Can we pull up your slides?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Okay, cool. So today I am covering more talk about the shift. So this is going to be done. I'm going to be done in 5 minutes unless there's interaction. So do you want to get out of here in 5 minutes, or do you want to learn a lot? So I need your help. Yes. So I have been covering the shift book. A lot of us have, right? Has anybody, who has a copy of this? Got a couple? Who's reading it? Couple? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to be covering basically page 135 to almost the end. Amy's going to wrap us up next week with the end of this book. But I just want to cover a lot of the tactics that this book recommends when we are in a shift. But I first want to know who feels like we are in a shift. I know we've been doing a lot of talking about this, but Nick, yes. Okay. So what are you guys hearing? What are you hearing from your clients right now that's making you feel like we're in a shift? Try not to pick on anyone in particular, but this is interactive. What are you seeing? What are you noticing? Let's just talk about rates for a second. So we had good news today. Thank you. Good news. But before hearing the good news, what have you been hearing from your clients? How about buyers in particular? Yes.
My brother shot with price point about 900 to 1 million. We got 4 or 5 updates over the weekend.
Okay.
Like 30, 40 grand, about 4 times.
So we buy more even though the rates were moving. That's awesome. That's awesome. Longer days on market, fewer offers. Yep. What else? Are you hearing a lot of fence sitters? Are people starting to say, oh, I'm just going to wait. We're going to wait and see what happens. I'm going to wait for prices to come down, things like that. All of those are signs of a shift. So we don't want to talk about the shift to scare you guys. That always, any of us who have been in the business a long time and things start shifting or recession, we get a little PTSD of the last time. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think there's good opportunities, and this really is just a way to prepare you for things to change. So I want to start with that. I'm not here to scare you, right? So just be able to talk about it. So what happens when rates increase 1%? What's the stat? I know our lenders probably know. Lose 18% of the buyers. Yes. Do you feel like you can speak to this when it comes to sellers? How can we use the 1% we lose 18% buyers? How can you do this with how can you explain this to a seller? Janet. Yes, love it. Great answer. So that's the whole point of preparing you for a shift. As things move and people start getting nervous, or they start saying, I'm going to wait. Usually the buyers fill it first and then the sellers, right? Do you have any sellers talking about things shifting yet? Those of you that are taking listings? Yes. Josh, will you share? What are you hearing from sellers? Where are the buyers? Yep. Yes. Yes. So the sellers are starting to fill it, even though I do feel like the sellers fill it a little bit behind the buyers. I've taken a couple listings over the last couple weekends, and I'm definitely feeling some changes in these conversations. So that's really what the whole point of preparing you for this. Janet, were you going to say something? Sorry. I was just going to ask a question. Is there some, I don't know if this is Mike Renner. Now you have to repeat your question.
That conversation that you have with the seller, like they want to get the highest price for their house, but hey, it's increased like 27% or more. So you're already going to get this high price. Is that another part of the conversation you have or not?
I would say yes. What do you guys think? Absolutely. I think that's a really good way to turn it and to spin it into, this is still a big opportunity. Yes, did they miss getting the extra $50,000 and then they get an extra $25,000 on top of that? Perhaps, depending on price range. But I think that's a very good point. I think that's awesome. I would definitely use that. So what I have here is tactic number one, the price is right. So kind of what I was saying, the buyers are going to fill it first and then the sellers are going to fill it next. So just being able to use a lot of these statistics, in particular right now, the one I'm using the most is the interest rates going up, and it's the same as going down. They're going to be coming back in. So just be, kind of prepared for that. But it's also interesting, according to this book, and I want to see if you guys are feeling this too, the buyers for the last several years have really been driving prices up. And so a good sign of a shift is when they instantly start driving the prices down. So has anybody started receiving offers less than list price yet? Yes, I've got some nods. I know I did over the weekend, and I was shocked. And my seller was even more shocked, like, whoa, wait a minute. It's been 4 hours and they're not like 20,000 above list price. And it was a 630 price range. But that is a good sign of a shift when all of a sudden the buyers kind of put the brakes on and they try to start driving prices down. So you're going to start hearing buyers coming up where they're like, let's just offer 30,000 less. It's been on for 3 days, right? So instead of 3 hours. And so you're going to start seeing this. So those are the signs that I'm seeing. So thank you for sharing. I love hearing the ones that you guys are. So the next one is window of opportunity. And this has always been around. And I would say this applies to sellers, but when is the best window of opportunity for a property to be sold? What's that? Acceptance, first 2 weeks. What else did I hear over here? I heard something else. Today, yes. But there really is a window of opportunity. Josh? So what is the best window of opportunity to sell a house? Either. Let's say seller. Let's start with seller. When is the best window of opportunity for the house to sell?
As soon as you get an offer.
As soon as you get an offer, okay? Yes.
Put on the buyer, it's when the seller starts to panic. They've been on the market for 3 days and they're panicking because there isn't a line of 20 people out of their house right now.
Right. Let's offer 30,000 less, right?
I don't know
Yes.
about that yet.
This basically is the conversation we need to be having with a seller. When is the best time for them to sell the house? Because what's going to happen right now, and I know this just happened to me, it sounds like it maybe is happening to you, Josh, as an actual seller, is where am I going to price this house? Do we still have time to just throw it on the market at, 50,000 above? We know it's worth 600, but we're going to go 650 because the last 5 months we've been able to get that. Do we have time to do that in a shifting market? To put it up for 50,000 more than we think it's actually going to sell for, can we do that in a shifting market? I'm seeing some no's. So that's the conversation we need to have when it comes to window of opportunity. So this just kind of goes through the stages for an actual seller. Again, this isn't to scare you. I'm filling some of this out here talking to listings and sellers, but they also are going to go through some denial. So a perfect example, I listed this house for 630 and the comps come in right in at 630. In fact, it should go above list price. With 3 days, they're like, where are my offers? We had no offers. We do an open house. Christine did an open house for me. How many people showed up? Zero. 0 people showed up to an open house that I believe was priced 100% correct. So another sign of a market. So
Where'd you say it was located?
Saratoga Springs. Yeah. For 630, basically brand new house, 2 years old. No reason it shouldn't sell. No reason I shouldn't have a line of cars. The next listing, within 5 days, I listed one at 320. How many people showed up to the open house? Do you think? These are just what I'm feeling. I'm just sharing this with you. I had five people. How many people would have shown up to both of these open houses a month ago? Those of you doing open houses, 30. Okay. So to go from 30 to 0 overnight, that seller is in severe denial, right? How do you think my conversation went with them? It was not fun to tell them that we had nobody show up to the open house. So it's basically just a sign of the shift. So our conversations, our consultations are just going to have to be that much stronger, that much bigger. So that is an opportunity I see for us as real estate agents. We have had it's been pretty easy breezy the last few years to, go out and take a listing. We do have to show more of our value because they know it can sell in an hour. But now we get to really show our skills, right? We really have to show them that we are the experts. And that's going to be some of the tactics that I would share with you today. But just remember, our sellers are going to be going through some of this too. Same with buyers. The buyers are still kind of in denial and, bargaining. They go into a little depression and then they start to accept that the market has changed. So just watch out for those. So the art of pricing persuasion. This is another tactic in the book. Which basically says, Gary Keller says, you always price the home ahead of the market, whether it's going up or down, always price ahead of it. So what do I mean by that? What does that mean? What does he mean by that? Yeah.
As the prices are coming down, you want to maybe convince your sellers that you want to market at a little bit lower price so that you'll entice more buyers to come and look. And then as the market's going up, it's okay to go ahead and shift those prices up a little higher.
Yeah, exactly. So are you watching the competition? Do you know what's happening in the neighborhood? How many other homes have listed and where are they priced at, right? Like before, we're kind of all listing right around the same. We know they're all going to sell because there's only 3. Now, as Amy was saying, she checked the inventory today. The inventory is a lot higher than it has been. Do you know what's happening in the neighborhood that you're about to list a property in? And where do you need to be priced? So just making sure that you're pricing correctly. What does a buyer think the best value of the home is? Where are they looking for pricing? The high side? I would say the low side. So a buyer, according to this book, and I would agree with it, that A buyer is going to think the best value of the house is the lowest price one in the neighborhood. So as they start researching and they're like, oh, this one's cheaper, but it's the exact same house as the other one down there for 10,000 more. The buyer, in the buyer's mind, they're going to think this one is the best value for them, right? So you still have that struggle of buyer and seller and where they need to be. So pricing ahead of it is doing exactly what you said, just making sure they're not pricing too aggressively. They're not going in that $50,000 higher than what they wanted to actually sell it for, thinking the market would stand that. So get really good at pricing. It's important that we are the experts when it comes to pricing. Where, you know, when we're not in a shift, you can put a home up for sale and it's going to go. So don't chase the market, let the market chase you. So there's 3 types of markets, and the answer's up here. I was going to ask you, what are the 3 types of markets? But what are the markets that you typically hear? Do you ever really hear about a balanced market? Or do you hear people talking about a buyer's market and a seller's market, right? So I think this is another opportunity in a shift. Can we get back to a little more balanced market? The problem is your buyers and sellers are not talking about a balanced market. They don't really care about a balanced market. They care whether it's a sellers or buyers. So again, just getting really good on being able to explain the difference and what's happening. And also the other reason why you don't hear much about a balanced market is a balanced market is like that limbo, very short window in between the buyer market and the seller market. So you'll see it, you'll feel it, things could start happening, like some of the things we're talking about now. You're going to start seeing those, but it happens so fast, you almost don't know that's happening. So just keep that in mind and be able to really talk about a balanced market. Get educated on that. Standing out from the competition. So this gears more towards sellers, I would say. However, buyers, it's important that we're standing out as well. And there's plenty of strategies and things that we can do to stand out as a buyer. But as a seller, again, as inventory starts to go up, there's going to be more properties on the market. How are they standing out? So what are you guys doing with your listings? What are you doing to help them add value and stand out in the competition? Have you even had to really do that lately? Emily. Oh my gosh, I couldn't have paid you to walk in and say that.
So I stage all my properties and I do my own photography because I have a photography background. And I thought that's something that I would eventually let go, but I'm so particular. And I will tell you, it makes a huge difference just having like, not only just having the place clean and cleared out, but having like just the little items. And you can hire stagers, but I personally think that is the absolute best way to make sure your house stands out. If somebody can see it and think, does someone live here? Does someone not live here? That's the question people ask.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. There is an entire chapter in this book that says to stage or not to stage. Are you guys staging your properties? I love that she is here to say that. I would say the majority of people are not. Would you guys agree? Staging doesn't necessarily have to be bringing in a company, like you were saying, bringing in a company, redoing furniture, all of that. Staging just means, how are we going to stand out from the competition? So this is a formula that's in the book, which is just, you know, KW and acronyms. It's fun. Think 3P2F. So these are just ways that you can help people stage without actually bringing in stagers. So the 3P2Fs are plants or plantings, paint, pictures, and fixtures and furnishings. So it really goes into detail. Do you have a question?
I've often wondered, can you address staging when they're still living in the home? Is there a way to
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So kind of to address her question, Emily, do you want to touch base on that? I'm sure you stage many that people are in.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll go room by room and take, stage it, take the pictures. And I tell them, when you show this house, I want it to look exactly like this. I don't care if you're living in the house. I need you to make sure every room is perfect. Do not move anything. So I just kind of explain to them the need for that. I think as homes are going to be sitting on longer, that's going to be something we'll have to reiterate because it's not just like over the weekend. But yeah, you can. And I even have like weight bedspreads and things that I just have them lay over, and, they can just make sure that they know exactly that's your instruction and they follow it.
Awesome. Thank you. Question over here. We got our runner with the mic.
Just because I've been to like open, like, you know, go to open houses before. What about like, is there ever people that don't want to take down all their pictures or all their, like, you know, there's people that are kind of like hoarders when it comes to like little like decorations people have given them or just things like that.
Yes.
Where I've walked into the house and I'm like, this is a lot.
Yes, of course there is. Those of you that are experienced, how could she handle that? What would you say if you went into a house and it's completely cluttered with, say, pictures? How would you handle it, John?
So one thing I use is I will tell the people, hey, we're going to start your move right now. Say all this stuff is going to have to be moved. If you have to move this all in one day, it's going to be a big hassle for you. So let's start your move right now. We're going to start pulling things off the walls. All of that, I'm going to replace it with just minimal stuff that still makes the place look really nice. But now this is putting you way ahead of the curve. So once we sell that house, all this stuff is already packed. You don't have to worry about it.
Love it. Yep, that's exactly what I would say as well, is they're moving. So let's get the things packed up. Let's get them moving, get them there. And exercise from here really quickly. Does anybody know of a stat on staged home versus non-staged homes? Does anybody know what that is? I don't either. I was just curious. Just kidding. According to this book, it says that it's a 6.3% difference in purchase price when you stage a home versus you stage a home. I believe it's going to be way higher than that now. So I don't know when this book was written, but 6.3% is still quite a bit higher. But again, staging doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're bringing in a staging company, you're redoing furniture, you're doing all of that. I personally work with a stager, and I believe that you should have staging in your presentation. I have gotten listings just by having the word stager in my listing presentation, even though I literally have only staged, I don't know, handfuls of houses. I don't stage every single one of them, although in a shifting market, I think that needs to change. But I work with a stager who will come in and do a staging consultation. So I bring that in as like good cop, bad cop, right? Like I'm going to come in, I'm going to say, oh yeah, your house is great. I love it. Can't wait to sell it. Then I bring the bad cop in who's going to say, get rid of those pictures, get rid of that green couch, get rid of this, get rid of that. They get to be the bad cop. But what this costs me is $150, and they come in and they basically give a guide or a report and tell the seller exactly what to do. So I'm not bringing in a staging company. I'm not bringing in actual new furniture or anything like that, but they will just take it and say 10 pictures, narrow to 2. Couch this way, make sure you move the couch this way. So they basically give the seller a whole bunch of assignments. So that's one way you could actually stage. But I can tell you, I've picked up listings just by having the word staging consultation in my presentation. So they want to know, what are you doing to stand out in the competition? How are you going to help me have my house stand out? So that is one of the tactics in a shift, is really standing out. And especially right now where a lot of people think that we just put a sign in the yard and the house goes in an hour. This is one more way that you can show them that, no, you're going to add a lot of value to them. So think about, so plants, basically plantings is what it is here. It's curb appeal. So when you pull up to a house, and right now a lot of flowers are being planted, things like that, but think about how can you, the first look of the house, how can it look different with plants and plantings? Obviously paint, self-explanatory, pretty inexpensive. Pictures, we've talked a lot about pictures, fixtures and furnishings. Rearranging a room. Buyers can tell you that they can see past things. And how many have you guys had buyers that are like, my furniture would never fit in this room? Usually it's in a vacant house. They're like, my furniture would never fit in here. And it absolutely would. You know that there was giant furniture in there before, but they have a hard time visualizing things. So staging, you can do virtual staging, which is also kind of cool. They can move furniture around a room. So just think about how you can stand out when you are listing a property. Okay, create urgency. I think this, oh, I'm so sorry. No, please.
So when I started, I basically would use all my own furniture and just like clear out my house every listing that I had. And then I would just start buying more stuff. IKEA is a great place to get fake little plants and like cheap dishes. And I always like set the table, but don't hesitate to just utilize your own stuff and then start building that back up when you're starting. I think it's totally worth it.
Love that. Love that.
And to play off what Emily's saying is use their stuff too.
Yes.
if you're walking through and you're like, that is an awesome bedspread, let's use that bedspread. Like use their stuff, use their towels. Like ask them like, hey, do you have another stock of these white towels? Let's use as much of your stuff as possible. Or you can even say, hey, like you were kind of saying, like have the consultation come through and have them rearrange their furniture, or like they got a couch and it's got a hole in the couch. Like, hey, let's find a throw blanket. It could be simple as a throw blanket over a couch or a bright color, something. So you don't have to go out and buy a moving truck or have a storage unit full of staging. It could be simple things that you as an agent keep on hand, which it could be a couple bedspreads. It could be a couple throw blankets, a couple pillows, and a couple plants or something like that. So
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I have, by staging a home, it actually, well, this was when homes weren't selling quite as fast. But I have an example where I staged a home that technically was a 2-bedroom house, but it was a huge house and it had a cute little office, but it did not have a closet in there, so it technically could not be a bedroom. We staged it with a crib. We put a crib in there and it instantly sold. So it went from being listed with somebody else who did not do any staging to us coming in and saying, how can we make this little room look like a bedroom? We dressed it like a baby room. And all of a sudden they were like, it sold instantly because they saw it as a bedroom. So yes, think outside the box. It could be 1 or 2 things. It doesn't have to be a lot of, extra stuff. It's what they already have. So do you have a list of vendors? Are you helping them get ready to list a property? So like handymen, do you guys have good handymen? Do you guys have, are you getting properties pre-inspected? So I'm going to talk a little bit, the last tactic in here is bulletproofing your transaction. So we want to make sure that transactions don't fall apart during a shift because we maybe only had 1 offer, or maybe we only had 2 offers and the other person's gone away. So think about your vendor list. Can you get somebody on call just right then and there to tell your seller, no problem, we'll take care of it. I'll have them come in, they'll get you an invoice, no big deal. How can you take stress off of the sellers when it comes to things like this? So think about all of that.
Yeah, I was even thinking, like, I just see a lot of people working more deals, and it's reminding me of like when we used to have a bad roof, we would get the roof replaced and we would pay for it at closing out of the seller's funds, right?
Yeah.
So having a roofer that's ready to do that and willing to do that, those sorts of things can be places where we can make a deal and keep it together where it otherwise wouldn't.
Yes, 100%. So yeah, we're not saying we're going to come in and we're going to take care of all of this as an agent, but again, we've talked a lot about this needs to be an experience, right? Like we're charging a lot of money. We're not just putting a sign in the yard. So creating an experience so they can go tell all of their friends and family, we listed this property, we completely stood out. She brought in a stager, he brought in a roofer with no issues, made the appointments. What are you doing to stand out when it comes to the listing? So thanks, Nick. That's awesome.
Terry, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So my question is I know that we've had lots of talk about having like a list of vetted vendors, not just vendors that we all have heard about or know about, but haven't used ourselves. Do you know like the OPs or Barry, or I just hear different things floating around. Is there any way other than just scrolling back through the Facebook page of us having a mutual spot to deposit vetted vendors that we've actually used and would recommend so that we can all share that resource?
Yeah, I would say, we do have a vendor wall. The vendors that we allow in here, they basically have been vetted. So somebody has talked to them, make sure that we trust them and their service. That would be the first place to start. I think the Facebook page is an amazing place. Just throw something in there and have somebody respond quickly. What else are you guys doing? Where are your resources? Where can she go for? Does anybody have I think that's a great idea for us to get a shared spreadsheet or something. But Delise, I would just say just start asking. A lot of this that we're talking about today, like tactics, is just communicating. We have this huge brokerage with these amazing people. Just go and talk to people. Who do you use?
I agree. And the Facebook page is awesome. I was just thinking that this was just a good chance to bring up the subject of how valuable a resource it would be as if we had a shared document, because you can throw the question in there, but when you're talking to your panicked seller at 11 p.m., that's not always when you can get a quick answer. And it would be great if we had some kind of Google Doc or something we could go to And so I just wanted to throw that out there.
So
I do
Delise and
know-
everyone, we've got our long-term vision on this is actually a culmination of all of these within several offices. And we are putting that together. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but the long-term vision is that we will have that so that we have people not only just in our area, but up in Davis County and in Utah County. And so that is something that we are putting that together between our offices. I
That's awesome.
wouldn't expect it right away, but yes, that's something that we're working on.
And I was going to say, in the meantime, we do still have the dashboard, and you can click on that, and there is a Google form of who's been vetted to come into this office. So that would be a good place to start too.
Okay, thank you.
Sammy offered to send you the link. Okay, awesome. So what are we doing to create urgency? I think this is probably the biggest sign of the shift right now that I'm kind of seeing. I'm starting to see more on the selling side, but on the buying side, how are you creating urgency? I would say in here, it talks about buyer reluctance. I would say we have buyer fatigue now is what I would call it. The buyers are kind of sick of getting outbeat. They're kind of sick of looking at 20 houses, not getting them, kind of sick of overpaying. I mean, the buyers really are kind of fatigued. So how are you creating urgency with your buyers right now? Especially before he told us the rates are going down or went down last week when they were, what are you saying to your buyers to create urgency? TJ. Oh, that's a good one.
You can always refinance, get a lower rate, but you can't always get yesterday's pricing in houses. So
That is so good.
I think, I mean, before I even start any consultation now, this is a little different than when I've done it in markets in the past. You have to educate the buyers of what the market actually looks like. Because right now, I mean, we've been talking about a recession for like the past 6 months, but the media has only started talking about it for the past month. And oftentimes our clients don't understand that we were just in recession 2020. They always associate us in a recession with 2008.
Yeah.
And 8 of the last 9 recessions, housing prices have either stayed flat or even gone up. So it's really educating with them on that to create the urgency.
Yes.
And also with heading into a recession of the past 9, on average, rates have gone down by 21%. So if we've got rates in the 5s, that means we're going to be seeing rates in the 4s/3s.
That is awesome. Did you guys take notes on what he just said? That is huge. And this is the kind of stuff that, so particularly in this chapter, we're talking about motivating, VAID, AID, not motivating buyers, because the buyers are motivated. They want to move. They've had a child, they've had a divorce, they've had whatever. So they want to move, but it's our job to aid them with the education like this, because it's so easy to just be like, oh, rates have gone up. Now my payment's this much higher, blah, blah, blah. I love what you said about you can refinance when rates come down, but you're not going to get today's pricing. So just making sure you have enough information so you can really help create that urgency and get them off the fence. There's a lot of people on the fence right now. I wanted to read this quote. So it says, if someone is going down the wrong road, he doesn't need motivation to speed him up. He needs education to turn him around. So I feel like that's a really good quote as far as what's happening right now with the buyers. So really just making sure that they understand what's really happening, because on a broad thing, they feel like the whole world is falling apart, right? So
Can I share something, Terry?
Yeah.
So as realtors, our job to be the professional, and sometimes that means being a little bit more upfront or maybe controversial to what they are saying or feeling. If I look past into my most regretted clients, it's the ones that they said, yeah, I'll just wait. And if they waited in the last like 2 to 3 years, they lost a lot of money. And then they bought 2 to 3 years later and it's like, hey, sorry. I mean,
yeah,
I backed you on your decision to wait, but could I have done a little bit more to help them see that, you know what, I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to push you or do something that's not bad for you guys in your situation. However, if the market looks like this in the future, and that's what the trends are showing, how will you make the different decisions today? And I think if I was a little bit better of an agent I have probably 3 to 5 people in my mind that I'm constantly like, oh man, their life would be so much different today if they would have bought that house instead of rented for the last 2 years. And hindsight's 2020, I get that. However, I think we have an opportunity to maybe just be the expert, try to get an idea what we think is coming. Just say, you know what, we don't have a crystal ball, but here's what the statistics have shown. TJ's point was really astute, where the last recessions didn't actually drop in price, other than the Great Recession that we know about that. But if people understand that and see, yeah, interest rates are going up, and maybe they will drop a little bit, but prices are going up, so their equivalent of what they're paying will be either the same or higher. They're just buying at a higher price. So that's just my point. Is I do have several people that when I see them or I think about their situation, I'm like, oh man, I feel really bad as a realtor that I could have maybe just pushed a little bit harder, and their life would be like $100,000 difference, where they're struggling for money right now, and they would have had 100 grand that they could sell their house, and their life would be way different. So yeah, I have a few regrets. And so just think about that as you're talking with your clients. Can you push a little bit harder and help them see?
And thank you for sharing that, because I feel like these stories are the ones that are going to help us have these conversations, right? Like going out and saying, you know, maybe it's not your buyer. You can say, I've had buyers that chose to wait the last couple of years, and their life could have been completely different had they chosen not to wait. And we just don't want you to be in that same situation. So use the stories of the you know, the like minds that you're hearing here. We all have stories, and we're all willing to share. Use those in your consultations, in your conversations.
And can I share? Not to keep going on this, but it was because for me, it was a lack of confidence. It was a lack of confidence in, you know, being a younger agent, or maybe just not as much experience, or not wanting to have them make a buy and then they hate me. Maybe it goes the other way. But that's why if we really focus on being the local expert and study the statistics, you can just say, here's what the statistics show. Based on this data, what decision would you make if things continued in the same direction? And then it's more about, you're just showing them the data and they can make the decision. That's where I feel like I missed my mark as a, I don't know, just a less experienced agent, or didn't put as much time into that. Right now, the statistics are so important. That's why we're focusing so much on perspective, and the comment that TJ made, and so many things that the market is sharing compared to what the media is sharing, so that you can be the expert for your clients.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. And there's another quote in this book. I didn't write it down, but it talks about that. It talks about how they're looking for experts, and it's important for us to stand out and be controversial to what they're hearing, what their family's saying. I mean, how many of us get to hear that all the time? Like, well, my family says I shouldn't be doing this, and da 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 da, right? We need to be able to confront them with reality. And the reality is right now it's up and down. Like, can we speak to both sides of that? So it's super important that we're doing that. Again, this message isn't to scare you that we're in a shift. And I don't think it probably scares anyone except for those of us that actually went through the terrible recession. We get a little nervous. But just make sure you know the pros and cons of both sides for buyers and sellers, and can you speak to it? So scripting is a big one. There are actually scripts in this book. Everything we've been talking about, what Tyler just said, TJ just said, Nick, I mean, we're talking about scripts. So talking points are scripts. Are you practicing these? Are you getting good information from somewhere else? Where are you getting this information? So what are you doing every day to really know the market of the moment? That's the next one that I have on here. Oh, maybe not. Market of the moment. So what are you researching every day? Because if I didn't come in here today, I haven't researched one thing today. So for me, if I were on a phone call with a buyer right now and I said rates are up, let's figure out what we're going to do, and TJ comes and tells me rates are down, that's a completely different conversation, right? So make sure you're researching something every single day. What are you researching? And some examples of good places you guys could go: utahrealtors.com, slrealtors.com, our market stats in the MLS. Are you searching those? One of my questions was, but I think it already was given away, but how many people know how many houses are on the market right now? Do you know today? How many? 4855. And do you know how many there were last week at this time? 30.
4 weeks ago, we started tracking it and it was 1,800.
1,800 4 weeks ago?
5 weeks ago.
5 weeks ago, we were at 1,800. Today, we're at 4,800. Something's happening, right? That is a sign of a shift. So these are important. You're sitting down with a seller and they want to go 50,000 above what you're recommending. Is that number important for them to know? And do you know enough about what's happening to be able to share that with them? That really is the whole point of the market of the moment, making sure that you know
Can I
that.
ask Josh, where do you find that info? If some of us need to look for that today, where do we find that?
I just go to the MLS and I just hit full search and it'll active and it'll right there on the left-hand side. It'll do that.
MLS, full search, click actives. And you can do timeframes in there. You could grab the calendar, you can pick a week or 5 weeks or whatever you want to look at. But I think that's like one of the rate, what's happening with the inventory. Those are super important to know every single day in a shifting market or not. So, so yeah, the next thing in this, the very last tactic is just bulletproofing the transaction. So the 6 ways to bulletproof your transaction, really it's the 6 areas that I would say you have the most issues with transactions. In a shifting market, these will come up a little bit more. So obviously inspections, I feel like we know that, appraisals, loan approval, contingencies, the co-op agent, which I think is interesting, and deadlines. So ways really quickly to combat some of that. So we've talked a little bit about it, but pre-inspection for sellers, could you be doing that? Could you pre-negotiate repairs? Could you get them to agree to make the repairs that they know a buyer's already going to come and ask for? List of vendors, we talked about that. Comps for appraisers. So are you guys seeing a lot of appraisal issues yet? Maybe lenders in the house kind of getting this a little bit? Not a ton. I'm not seeing a ton yet personally, but they could come up for you.
I had an appraisal issue this week and we were able to, I mean, the agent was able to negotiate.
Yeah.
The agent was able to negotiate a ton off of and actually meet the buyer's needs rather than the past. It was okay, buyers figure it out.
Interesting. So another opportunity
Mhm.
of the shift right there. Okay. So negotiating on the buyer's favor, but could you get comps prepared? Could you have comps from the listing agent? If you can't find the comps and the house is listed way higher than you think the appraisal is going to come in, could you get some comps from the listing agent? Who is your lender and their team, and what are they doing to help you through some of these? What ideas do they have? Because they're going to see them probably more often than we are. Backup offers. Are you guys writing backup offers? Because things are going to fall apart. We are going to have a little more people who are changing their mind the next day, a little more of that reluctancy, a little more fatigue. So I would encourage you to go out and write backup offers on the properties that they're loving, because things will fall out. Communications with the co-op agent. So how well are you communicating? This is important, shift or not. But are you befriending the co-op agent? Like, it's so important that we're working on the same goal, same deadline, same team. But I thought it was interesting that co-ops come up as a reason for transactions to fall apart. So keep that in mind. Confirming dates, confirming your vendors can actually meet these deadlines. Do you work with a TC? Do you have a checklist? Do you have some of these things that are going to help you in the transaction to make sure that it doesn't fall apart? So that is pretty much the tactics of a shift. I think that's it, of what's happening in a shift. So what are your key takeaways? Number 1, this isn't to scare you. So that's your number 1 takeaway, but what else are you taking from kind of the market of the moment? What's happening? What can you use today for you? Did you raise your hand or just scratching your head? Oh, okay. What are you taking away? What are you going to implement? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Shifts are where we can stand out. I love it. Yes, love it. John?
It's actually, in a weird way, kind of an exciting time, because I know it's been almost a little bit frustrating for me in the past year to feel like I could go to my know-how and everything and still have like a discount agent or something come behind me and sell that house the next week. And I think that that's going away. I think our experience is going to become really, really vital and very valuable again.
Yep, I love that. I would agree. It's time for us to put our skills to use and be able to really represent our clients. So love that. Anything else?
I really appreciated the overview.
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing that I wrote down, which you didn't even say, but you labeled the class, and obviously it's from the book. It's not about the market. It's about what you do.
Oh,
so
yeah,
those activities that we're doing every day make a big difference. And I'm excited for builders to pay us good commissions.
Yes. Woo! Awesome. Okay, you guys, this is an amazing book. I'm going to, oh, Daylise, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to say I really appreciate the overview because I've started reading the book, but I haven't gotten all the way through. And so this was a very fantastic overview. I really appreciated it.
You're welcome. We're gonna say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, as a new agent, I think it's just kind of, I feel like people say it's a hard time to get in, but I feel like it's also like going to be really good experience for the future when it isn't as like there isn't a shift. And I don't know if it's easier or harder after that, but
Yes.
I feel like there's so many good agents here, like from experience that do have good experience. So I'm going to see it as a good time to get in.
Yes, always. It's always a good time to get in real estate, buyer, seller, agent, any of that. So
Can I
I would
ask a
say that's
poll?
one thing.
How many people started in the downturn? Like started real estate? Maybe not like the last, what was that? Which one? All right, how old are you? Just kidding. Sorry,
I got it in 03.
I just
so
think that's a
definitely-
really good point. There is an opportunity here.
Mhm.
And sometimes if you don't know any better, then you just grind and get to work. Everyone else is complaining, but you might shine being brand new. So don't let all the naysayers get in your head. Yeah, really good point.
I think it's a really good point because you just said it too. You just don't know what you don't know. So yeah, don't give up. I mean, really, honestly, changing markets are a huge opportunity. So that's what I would say. Also, shameless plug. We're finishing this book in our book club. We are starting a new book club. I love dissecting. There's so much in here. So please join my book club. Thursdays we are doing The Road Less Stupid. Yes, it'll be fun. Yes. Okay. Thanks, you guys.